Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, dwyervip.com for non-boxing picks. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Folks, it's December 15th, 2015. What I'm going to say here is going to sound like I'm jumping the gun, like I'm jumping to conclusions. But I can just tell you, when it comes to gambling, in my opinion, you really have to be draconian. You really have to be upfront in digesting the news and making hard decisions, right? First, let me talk NBA, then I'm going to jump into the NFL. In the NBA, the most compelling value on the board this morning, and it is Tuesday, December 15th, 2015, are the San Antonio Spurs to win it all, right? You're getting significantly better odds than you're getting with the Golden State Warriors. Understand, if the Spurs end up playing the Warriors in the playoffs, you'll be able to hedge the bet, right? Just know that the Spurs have one of the NBA's best records, as good as they were last year. And keep in mind, the Spurs made the finals the 2 years before that. As good as they were last year, they've added LaMarcus Aldridge, they've added David West, right? No one in the East, quite frankly, can compete with the Spurs or the Golden State Warriors, right? No one. Cleveland, LeBron James, let's talk about it. LeBron is on the downside of his career. He's no longer, in my opinion, the best player in the league. I believe that's Steph Curry. LeBron James periodically gets injections into his back. Look at his numbers. When he was playing with better players, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, right, Ray Allen, in Miami, his numbers were dramatically better. And I mean dramatically better than they are right now. Now, I know Cavs fans are going to say, hey, guys have been hurt. He hasn't been on the court with Kyrie Irving. He hasn't been, playing extensive minutes with Shumpert on the court. Okay, fair enough. Let's just say that in a head-to-head series, I would take the Spurs over Cleveland. At this stage, barring injury, and that's crucial here because, of course, Golden State is relying on two superstar players, two of the 10 best players in the league, Curry and Draymond Green. And of course, the Spurs have a lot of age, right? Older players tend to have more injuries, right? Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, they're two of the league's senior citizens. Tony Parker is no spring chicken, right? David West is an older player. If everyone's healthy, and that's a big if, because of course as the injury report develops, your betting strategy needs to develop with it. But if everyone's healthy, I'll take the Spurs over the Cavs, right? For me, the NBA championship will come down to the Spurs against the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals or in whatever playoff series they meet. I don't take any other team in the West seriously. Memphis is down this year. The Clippers have a host of problems and structural defects. Guys like DeAndre who can't hit free throws, right? So for me, really, the NBA championship, and this is 4 or 5 months early, comes down to two teams. And my point to you is because of the Warriors' quick start, their win streak, their record streak to start a season, you're getting pretty good odds on the San Antonio Spurs, right? If I had one play to make today, it would be to take the Spurs on a futures bet with the understanding that I'm going to set some money aside to hedge the play if they end up facing the Golden State Warriors. Let's talk about NFL, right? Let's talk about the NFC. Folks, the playoff picture in the NFC has been decided. The only variable is who wins the NFC East. That's the only undecided spot, right? 3 teams right now are fighting for that NFC East title. Let's take them out of the mix, right? Let's just say, yes, the NFC Eastern Division winner is in the playoffs. But understand, everything else is decided. Because Tampa Bay lost in one of the biggest games of the year from a gambling perspective, certainly from a futures perspective, in my opinion, and we know this as of December 15th, other than the NFC Eastern winner, the 5 teams that will make the playoffs in the NFC are the Green Bay Packers, the Minnesota Vikings, and Minnesota was on the bubble until Tampa lost, right? The Carolina Panthers, the Arizona Cardinals, and the Seattle Seahawks. Let me repeat those. The Green Bay Packers, the Minnesota Vikings, the Carolina Panthers, the Arizona Cardinals, the Seattle Seahawks. Right? Let me just say, I don't take Minnesota seriously. I just don't. Right? Look at the number of touchdowns Teddy Bridgewater has thrown. That number is too anemic for me to believe that in the playoffs, Minnesota is going to be able to flip the script and match the other teams. Right? I'm also a big-time skeptic of the Carolina Panthers. Right? I know Cam Newton threw a bevy of touchdowns this last weekend. I understand one of the guys catching the balls were Ted Ginn. Right? Okay, great. I just don't see the same level of talent on the Carolina Panthers that I do on, let's say, the Arizona Cardinals. Understand, the Cardinals are having a spectacular year, folks. It's only because you have an unbeaten team in the conference that we don't fully appreciate what Arizona is doing. But when you compare Arizona to Carolina, just understand that even if you consider, as I do, Cam Newton to be the MVP of the NFL, Carson Palmer is not too far behind. Then when you look at the wide receivers, there's no comparison. Arizona is vastly superior. Right? When you look at the secondaries, and I understand Pro Football Focus has Carolina highly rated, I would say Arizona has the advantage in the secondary. Right? Understand the rushing attacks are such that Arizona has had a bevy of injuries, and yet they still are getting significant yards running the football. I would say talent-wise, Arizona is better than Carolina. The Seahawks are better than Carolina. Right? So, you now know the teams that are going to be in the NFC playoffs, except for the winner of the NFC East. Right? You can structure your futures betting accordingly. Let's talk about the AFC. The AFC is a little bit more murkier, isn't it? We know New England is in the playoffs. I think we know Cincinnati's in the playoffs. Right? We know Denver is in the playoffs. We know the winner of the AFC South is going to be in the playoffs, and I'll agree. Right? 3 teams can make the argument that they're still viable in that division. Okay, fair enough. The other teams are a little bit iffy. The Pittsburgh Steelers. Right? I agree, the Steelers have a lot of talent. It's just that they had injuries earlier in the year. Teams like Cincinnati got the jump on them. Right? The Pittsburgh Steelers, the New York Jets, and the Kansas City Chiefs all have a shot at making the playoffs. In my opinion, of these 3 teams, right, only 2 of the 3 are going to make the playoffs. Of these 3 teams, forget the talent on the teams. Just look at the schedule. In my opinion, the team that has won 7 in a row will make it into the playoffs. That's the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City has 3 games left. They all have 3 games left. But Kansas City's playing very weak opponents. They play Baltimore at Baltimore. Understand, Baltimore is having all kinds of problems at the quarterback position. Then they play 2 young quarterbacks at home at Arrowhead, one of the hardest places to play in the National Football League for a young quarterback because of the noise level. They play the Cleveland Browns with Johnny Manziel. I'll agree Manziel's talented. But understand, Manziel's going to have a hard time with the crowd. He's unstructured as it is. Then you have the Oakland Raiders. Right? Derek Carr is a talent, but again, he's a young quarterback. Right? I believe Kansas City is in the playoffs. So that leaves the Jets and Pittsburgh. Right? Now, understand both of these teams play very tough opponents. Let's start with the Steelers. The Steelers this week, and it's a huge week for them. They're at home and they're playing the Denver Broncos. Now, I understand Khalil Mack destroyed the Broncos with 5 sacks in the second half of Sunday's game. I understand Oakland went into Denver and beat Denver. What I want you to do, though, is to look at the numbers on the game. Literally, just dissect the game. You're going to find that Denver dominated that game. Right? Look at the first downs. Look at the yardage. Right? Denver dominated the game. Denver just couldn't stick Khalil Mack. Right? Last Sunday's game is the only loss Brock Osweiler, a starting quarterback, has had this year. Can we agree that Denver is one of the very best defenses in the National Football League? Right? Let's just say it's a big game for the Pittsburgh Steelers this week. After this week, they play their last 2 on the road. Right? I'll agree they're winnable games. They play at Baltimore. They play at Cleveland. Right? But in my opinion, there's a big difference between playing the Cleveland Browns at Cleveland, right, before their home fans, and playing the Cleveland Browns in Arrowhead, where you're the home team. And there's noise that Cleveland can't control. Now, the Jets also have at least one dicey game. Right? This coming week, they play Dallas in Dallas. That's not the dicey game. I expect the Jets to win that game. But then they have to face the New England Patriots. Now, I know New England's already clinched a spot in the playoffs, but New England wants the 1 seed. They don't want to leave anything to doubt. Right? Not only that, New England, during their unbeaten streak, got tested by the Jets. That was a close game earlier this season. So, the Jets versus the Patriots, in my opinion, that's a tough game for the Jets. Then the Jets close the season against their old nemesis, the Buffalo Bills, and their former coach, Rex Ryan. By the way, that game is in Buffalo. Right? Let's just say Buffalo, to me, is no longer viable for the playoffs. But I'm sure Rex wants to finish at least 500. He certainly wants to beat his old team. I think that's a tough game. So let's just say, in my opinion, in the AFC, the Jets and the Steelers are fighting it out with each other for the last playoff berth. Right? Because I feel that KC is pretty much locked up the other wild card. Right? That's how I see it. Let me hear from you. I hope you leave your comments in the comment section to this video so all of us can try to get a leg up on the casino. And of course, what I'm going to do again this week is I'm going to post pics at dwyervip.com, a site on which I post premium NFL point spread plays. Okay, expect to see something posted by the end of the week. Thanks for stopping by.